It's know-how siege. Let's go.
But there is also something that I think is vital to being the best player you can be, and it's map knowledge. And there is a singular operator on attack. Well, not a singular. We could also say there's a few more. But one that I think is probably best manipulating map knowledge to the best of their ability is Buck. He's one of my favorite operators on attack. Let's jump into our very first map so you guys can learn some of the lines of sight that you can get. And we will have Buck on the middle floor here of Kafe at the moment. I know that's your favorite angle. That's why I literally brought it up first.
That was absolutely my favorite angle.
But they've decided we're going to go back to the top floor. This is good. We'll go top down. The top floor is probably where most of the verticality can occur with Buck, with Sledge, etc. But you can get really good lines of sight with the skeleton key here. This is if you're attacking the reading room here. It doesn't necessarily mean the bomb site has to be there, but it will be very helpful if it is. There's a couple of lines of sight that you should learn from above that will give you a really good indication as to where players are hiding in the site, where you can cut off their rotates, etc. This one's a good one for if there's a rotate happening over towards Fireplace and White Stairs. Of course, there's a doorway there, which you can block off with that one as well. But the key ones above reading are in a post-plant position here, looking down behind the default plant where the bookcase is. That's generally where attackers should plant. That's where your teammates should go plant. You can cover above with that buck hole. You can also open up behind what we would call shelf or turned over shelf. And other people like to hide behind there, and you could open that up above them and cause them to run away or get a bit of a freebie. And sometimes there's a little bit of a rotate into laundry there. What's your favorite vertical above reading?
The one onto the turned over shelf, because it's such a, I call it a pack ball position. It's where he would just pop up and win the round from if you've not necessarily droned it or done the vertical on. So that would be my advice. Make sure you clear that area.
Well, we don't necessarily always get to see the train side, but if someone is hiding in the pesky train, this is my favorite angle. Open up a nice deep line of sight underneath this table and chair, and you can see anyone, even if they're proning inside of the train there. It's one of my favorites. I've used this from the very beginning, and that is something that you guys can learn. You can also place a breaching charge there, and it will open up an even bigger angle. There's another one as well. Should that wall not be reinforced, you can open up above, and the middle carriage inside of the train room there, you'll be able to snag someone sitting in there as well. The hatch should be reinforced if you're playing on that side or open, depending, and you can get a couple of lines of sight over towards Fireplace as well. This room is really good for verticality, but do be careful if someone is below and train with the C4. This is why we're teaching you these lines. You want to open up, get the job done, and get out of there as quickly as possible, because someone will either shoot back or throw a C4 at you. I think there is probably 5 main lines of sight on the top floor you should know. They were all included in that video, so do go back and have a look at it. But of course, we can go down a floor there and see exactly what happens when you need to push onto a kitchen site. That's your angle. Tell me why you love that one so much.
I love that angle, and you actually spoke about it yesterday. I think it was off camera, the reverse angle. So you can use it, and I mean, this can be used as both attackers and defenders.
Exactly.
Into prep, but also into sight, and you can catch people rotating both ways.
That rice angle that originally threw that double window was there is no actual verticality above it, so that's the only angle you can get on there. This, however, is my favorite. There is 2 different angles to be able to see behind the bomb chassis over towards what we call coffee or bunker. You might have a few different call outs for it, and this is one only Buck can get. Sledge cannot make this angle, only Buck with his skeleton key can. So learning this angle will be crucial to getting people out of that power position. This is probably the better one, but it opens you up for that counter attack of someone laying in there, and that's the one there. That would probably be the #1 angle if I was you to learn if you want to be able to attack onto this bottom floor side, because almost always, 9 times out of 10, someone will sit there because it is just so powerful in that position.
It's usually a smoke that would sit there as well in the middle of the round, and just to be able to get rid of that utility mid-round is so helpful when you're playing Buck.
Now, of course, also opening up above that wall where there should be wall denial is helpful for your team to get the wall open if they do a bakery push. And of course, if someone is trying to hide around that sort of rice area we spoke about before, there's a couple other angles you can look at if someone's tucked in the door as well. These are just sort of extra angles you can open up with the skeleton key, should you not be able to find those pesky different defenders. I like this one as well. Rather than exposing yourself to the hatch, of which your feet will show first, you can open up this angle above the door and get a really deep vertical angle onto it should someone run through, have their feet there, etc. It's safer to do it like this then to peek the hatch. So if you have a buck or you have a sledge, do it this way rather than exposing your feet to the hatch. You'll have a much, I guess, more success rate on pushing that bottom floor. And of course, this angle over towards double door, say you get a plant down behind the bomb chassis. It's a pretty default plant area. You can stop anyone running through that double door with that angle there, but there's a couple other angles, of which I would say you would use in the early to mid round to stop people sort of crossing over your line of sight. This one, I would say you'd use mid to late round, maybe try and snag anyone peeking into that long hallway area. And of course, if anyone's hiding in what we call Harry Potter, which is anything under the stairs, you can easily open that up, snag them there. And the last angle I wanted to show you guys was one I think is not used enough, even in pro play, is opening up onto that coat check door. So many people play in there. Please open it up. Please have a look if anyone's in there, or even targeting over towards small bakery, because that is going to be a bit of a free kill with those vertical angles.
And one more just very quick tip, especially on the cafe middle floor, is if you're not playing buck or sledge and you've got breaching charges, if you go crouch out and place the breaching charges low, it will destroy the wall and the floor together, and it can be a safer way of destroying the floor without risking C4s.
Competitive pool known as Bank, and that has a heck of a lot of verticality as well. Let's bring that one up on your screens and show you the kind of angles you can get almost in any part of the round. This one I would consider almost always an early round. You can use it for a flank, but I would run in, top square, open that early and make sure no one is challenging onto that. This one, however, could be more of a mid to late round, especially with a flank hold. If you do a server push, if you do a default plant into CCTV, that's a nice little one there, but they're not the predominant ones. Mostly top floor is taken verticality-wise when you want to attack onto tellers and archives. So as a result, where are the power positions? Bang. Number one is this area, and there's a filing cabinet there, there's an entry doorway into the tellers, and then of course towards teller's office, and then into archives, of which opening up in what I think it's called conference. The official word is called conference, some people call it long desk, etc. That's where you would open up to get that power position. That one is another one, but that's considered default plant watch. So generally you're watching that in a post-plant position. Otherwise you don't necessarily need to challenge that angle so much, but I think there's just so much of this floor that's breakable that you can open up as an attacker that it's almost impossible as a defender to sit in there, and these are all the ones you should learn to be able to do it.
And that's where it becomes absolutely key, because obviously Buck has a finite amount of ammo.
Correct.
So you need to be able to open up the right vertical above where the defenders are likely to be playing to be able to move them out of those positions or get kills. Yeah,
exactly right. And of course, as you said, he only has as many skeletons. How many does he have now? Because he was buffed originally.
Yeah, it has gone up. So
it has gone up.
There's a little bit more to play with. It's not as kind of restrictive, but...
Yeah, there you go. So these are the angles above the site should you want to be able to stop people running in, or even better, running out. But learning them key exactly where you need to shoot is important, because as I said on the cafe map before, people will peek you back. They will get a prepared C4 ready. So the less lines of sight you open up upon yourself, the less you have to worry about being peeked back. There's a couple of others in the front area towards Banana that I almost never see people open up as well. And of course you can open up tighter angles given how those bars are set if you don't want people to peek you back. So that's a version of it there. But as I sort of run my character around, I pre-recorded this, don't worry. We get this all pre-recorded in a custom game. You should go on a custom game too. That's how you learn these maps really well. This is one I don't see a lot of people using. I know it's a niche one because of course you're assuming that someone is peeking that door or running through, etc. But that's one you can use. But this is one of my favorites. You do not need to challenge onto elevator through a horizontal angle if you lay there and just hold this angle. Almost always in a post plant and double wall towards printed default, you can hold that flank from that exact position.
That's the scenario that you would want there, right? Because you'd be holding them, trying to retake lobby and therefore trying to retake diffuser. You're holding the two doorways that they could possibly come out of.
There is no way under the sun anyone is going to look up when they run into lobby. That is unheard of. So that's a sneaky little one. You might not get it every round, but of course it's one that you can pull out of your pocket as a little bit of a pocket strat. So that's what I want to do today. Teach you guys that one, map knowledge is so incredibly important. Two, you're going to win a heck of a lot more gunfights if you are applying a power position of verticality, especially top down. You know, downwards up is not quite as powerful as the top down angle that you can get. And that's going to win you a lot more gunfights and help your team exponentially exit those power positions that the defenders might have.
Thank you very much, Jess and Fresh, for filling us in on all of that. And for those watching out there, don't let people gatekeep your knowledge in Rainbow Six Siege. There's a lot to learn in Rainbow Six.